Hello and welcome to this week's Noted Podcast. It's first live podcast. We are in the same room. I am Eric Simmons. That's Daniel. This week we are going to be talking about a movie that is near and dear to my heart because it is not only hilarious and has my favorite actor in it, one of my favorite actors.
I was going to say, he's your favorite?
And one of my favorites, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's so good. Not only is it funny, but it's like really close to the heart, and it's like oddly surreal and like really weird. It's the Truman Show.
Starring Jim Carrey.
Applause.
Dun dun da da da.
It came out in
1998.
Yes, sir. And it's about an hour and 40 minutes, so it's a pretty quick watch. And if you haven't watched it, you should pause, watch it, and then listen.
As always, there will be lots of spoilers.
Big facts. We're getting there. We're only a minute into it now, and we told you there's gonna be spoilers.
We're being pros. We're getting pros.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. So, I would say this is one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies. Personally,
I say this is my favorite Jim Carrey movie.
Really?
Yeah, I love Jim Carrey as an actor, but I wouldn't say I've seen like a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
But I've seen enough to know a good idea of what he has out there.
Mm-hmm.
I know I haven't seen some of his more dramatic roles. So like Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I have not seen that, and
I
know
we need to watch that one.
I know that's what people usually point at as like his best film.
There's another movie. It's called Seven. It's like a thriller movie. But go ahead, sorry.
But I've seen a lot more of his comedies, like Ace Ventura, The Mask, and so
classics.
I know that side of him. Yeah. And so seeing this for the first time, because audience, Eric had already seen this movie.
Oh yeah, I love this movie.
In preparation for this episode, I had watched this movie about a week ago. Yeah. So this is my first time actually ever watching it, and I definitely like seeing this side of Jim Carrey a lot more than his usual
his, like, plastic rubber face, really exaggerated animated, like everything that he does has to be hilarious. You get to see you know, quote unquote the human side to him. Like you get to see the emotions that aren't just giggles kind of thing. I
think he's definitely one of the actors who was put in an unfortunate circumstance where he got typecasted so much.
Yeah, like Robin Williams.
Yeah, that he wasn't really allowed to show the depth of his acting except for a few specific moments in films, this being one of them. And because like you said, he's known for his facial expressions and his comedy. I'm gonna be honest, after seeing it like 3 bajillion times, it gets really boring. I'm not a fan of the Jim Carrey comedy anymore.
Oh, dude, I love it.
Not saying that it doesn't tickle my funny bone sometimes, but it's like you can only see him do a weird face so many times and do the same like inflections in his voice so many times before it's like, okay, show me something new.
Yeah, like in the Sonic movie, I just felt like he was just, if you didn't know that, he's in the Sonic movie.
He's Dr. Eggman.
Yes. And I just feel like he's playing Jim Carrey. Like he's just kind of playing like a robust, like haha kind of person. And yeah, there's a bazillion reasons why I didn't like that movie, but we're not gonna go into that because we're talking about the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel, since this is your first like watching, and now this is gonna be like your first time being able to discuss it. What were your like? How did it like affect you? But like how did it like while you were watching it, did it like surprise you? That's what I'm asking. Like were you like, oh my gosh, wait, what kind of thing?
So going into this movie, I already knew the premise that a man is in a TV show.
Yeah. In a dome.
And no one knows. He's the only one that does not know.
Yeah.
It's like a prank on one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I already knew that going into this, so I kind of had that idea. What surprised me was the little things all along the way they like explained it. Like the fact the dome is just in the midst of Hollywood and everyone's okay with it.
Yeah.
Or the fact that he was adopted by a corporation.
Yup.
Which reminded me of Subway from Community, the episode where the corporation Subway makes a new person.
Yeah.
They own a man who changed his identity legally to Subway, and now he is the physical living representation of Subway, and he's 1 year old, even though he's like a 26-year-old man.
Yep. Oh, dude, it's such I love that show.
And so those little things kind of like, I was like, oh, that's neat. But what I think really surprised me was how quickly he noticed.
Yeah.
And I liked kind of the fact it wasn't like, we didn't have to watch like 30 minutes of him being like, here's my perfect life.
Yeah.
It was within 2 minutes of the movie, once like it showed Truman.
Yeah, it was like catchphrase, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
And then light. And then he's like the whole first day, which the first day he has is supposed to be like the representation of what his everyday is, quote unquote.
Yeah, what his loop is.
Yeah, but he still has moments where he's almost like he's a rebel against an empire without knowing it. Like he's hiding magazines and tearing faces.
Yeah.
Because he knows something or someone.
Keeping the sweater from the girl.
Yeah, like he's secretive, but I don't think he understands why he's secretive.
Yeah.
He just knows he needs to be secretive.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really cool. And then I kind of like how he has his kind of like, they build up the tension and the tension and the tension, and it kind of has like his breakdown.
Yeah.
And then it looks like he goes back to normal. And then that's when he's pulling the wool over everyone's eyes.
After like the part when he's driving and he's like, he's turning down like the street. It's like, oh no, he's onto us kind of thing. It's like, he almost hit a lady. And everybody like pauses. And then he like walks out in front of a bus and is like, you know, like puts his hands up like stop.
Like he knows he can stop traffic.
Like he knows that like something's up. I don't think that like he knows that everything's fake, but like
he knows for some reason he's at the center of everything.
I think dude, it's so good. Okay. So then you go into like essentially when he holds his wife hostage.
Yeah. So quick synopsis before, sorry to cut you off. Before we go into it too quick.
You're good.
Jim Carrey plays Truman. Truman was born and raised literally in a TV show.
Yeah, on screen.
And
everything is on screen.
The whole premise is that this show never stops. There's no commercials. They never ever stop airing. They show him sleeping. Yeah. They show him eating. They show him in the bathroom. They show him going to work.
Yep.
Every mundane thing is live telecast, because everything around him, like all of his friends, his wife, everyone is an actor.
Yeah.
The whole town is fabricated.
Yeah.
The only thing in it that's genuine is Truman.
Yep.
And so like throughout the movie they show like the audience like people in the world watching it on their TV.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the premise of him figuring out it's fake and like trying to figure out what's going on and all that. So yeah. Now continue.
Okay, so one of my favorite things about this movie is that they are required to have advertisements, right?
Oh, it's so funny.
So there's like he starts to kind of like
notice.
So yeah, like towards the beginning of the movie, his wife like walks in and is like, "Hey honey, like I just brought home this new knife that can cut through anything. Dishwasher safe," right? And he's just kind of like,
she like cool. Gives like an infomercial
like
spiel.
Looks like straight to the camera. Did you know? Like this kind of thing, right? It's so funny. So then after he like starts to like freak out and kind of being like, what's happening, right? He goes home and closes all the blinds and freaks out, and then his wife comes home and they start to talk and everything like that, and it's essentially he takes her hostage, which sounds horrible, but like it's funny.
I wouldn't even say like technically yes, he is forcing her not to leave. which saying it like that is definitely taking someone hostage.
Yeah.
But it's not in like a violent way of I'm going to hurt you, but more in a way of you obviously
you're fake kind of thing.
He's like
like something is up.
He knows that something's up with her.
Yeah.
He knows that whatever he is in the center of, she knows something about it.
Yeah. My favorite line when he's just like, "Who are you talking to?" Because like he can tell when she like looks to the camera and is like, "Did you know that this cocoa is grown from the tree in Colombia?" And like blah 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 blah. And he's like, What are you talking? What are you saying? Like what are you saying?
She goes on like a 2-minute
rant of just having to push product.
Yeah, and it's one specific cocoa because they're in the middle of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the midst of an argument.
Yep.
And he's trying to like convince her that something's going on, and she's pretty much dismissing everything he says. And she's like, "Honey, why don't you calm down and drink some hot cocoa?" And then does like a twist, holding it one hand underneath, one hand behind it.
Label of very, very apparent.
And starts saying brand name, where it's from, how it's made, the different like the facts about like food products that only the manufacturer knows says.
Yeah, like
and no one who ever uses it knows or cares.
Yeah, like when you get the script to advertise for something, like when you're watching a YouTube video and they're like Raid Shadow Legends. It's like everything that you're about to hear.
We're not sponsored, but we would love to be sponsored. Raid.
But yes. But okay, so then after that happens, they go on like a car ride or whatever, or maybe that was before it. But like he tries to escape because when he was in high school, he met like, love at first sight, like love of his life, which wasn't the woman that the TV show wanted him to love, right? Yeah. So they're forcing a narrative into his life, and he fell in love with someone who wasn't a part of the narrative. So she's like like everything's not real, and then this is all like way before he has any clue, and then he she gets taken away, and the word Fiji,
in front of him.
Yeah, in front of him. It looks like she got abducted, pretty much, like from her father.
Yeah.
Like that's how they staged it.
Because he's like, "Let's go out for pizza," and she's like, "I can't. They won't work. They won't let us." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then she writes now, and he's like, "You want to go now?" And
so we'll miss finals. Oh no.
And so then they go to a beach and they kiss. And she's trying to tell him, but he's like, obviously, like, "What the fuck are you saying? Just let me kiss you."
Yeah, exactly.
And then some dude pulls up on the beach with a car,
posing as her father,
and
then says like, "Yeah, she's just crazy. Like she does this with all of her boyfriends, and like we're moving to Fiji." So now,
that's when he learns about Fiji.
Yeah, and now, his like overall goal, which is I think that's where he gets his like secretive like hiding kind of thing from. Is it like?
I think it's where that
it stems from.
Yeah, where like the need to do it stemmed from. Yeah, I don't think he fully understood yet.
Oh no.
But I definitely think it was planted there.
Exactly. And then so he always dreams to travel to Fiji and to like just travel in general, but he's like terrified of the water and he's terrified of bridges.
Oh yeah.
And
can we talk real quick about why he's terrified about water?
Yes.
So he goes on because he's always wanted to explore, because the whole point is they're in a dome, so he really can't leave the island they're on.
He's in small town.
Yeah, he's on a small town island that is
population 400.
Yeah, the only other place is another island.
Yeah.
And then the rest is water because it's a dome and they needed a way to make it look like
a fold.
They're isolated.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he's always wanting to explore, like if you've grown up in a small town,
you know
you want to leave ASAP.
Yep.
And so he's wanting to explore, and so they needed to find a story reason to get him to never want to leave.
Yep.
And so they chose
to traumatize him.
Yep. And what they do is his dad, which by the way, it isn't his real dad because he was given up for adoption by his mother.
Everyone in his life is staged.
Yeah, like even at first I thought his parents were his real parents, but no, they're actors. No, yeah. His real mom doesn't even know who he is. Like the real mom gave away the baby at birth.
Yep.
So his dad is like, oh, let's go fishing. And so they go on a boat and they're in sea and it's a really bad storm, which, by the way, they control the weather.
Yeah, they control everything. Everything is manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fake.
And so the boat capsizes. Well, not capsizes. He falls off the boat.
Yeah.
And he's like slowly like drifting away and drowning. And so they...
Wilson!
So they murder... they murder Truman's dad when he's 12 in front of him.
Yeah, they kill off the main character's dad.
When he's 12 in front of him on a boat.
Yep.
And so now he's deathly afraid of water of any kind because he had the most traumatic experience of his life.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you saw your parent die in front of you.
I'd be nuts.
And you couldn't do anything to save them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just a child, and there's no other adult. So you are the... If
and
anyone's going to save them, you are the one to save them.
How long do you think he was stuck on the boat?
Oh, yeah. We don't see how he gets back
it's just a flashback. So they do, like, really weird flashbacks. I don't know how they do that. I was talking to Daniel, and I was like, dude, how do you think that they, like, live edit this? Like, because it's
all live.
Yeah, I really like to edit things, so, like, I was thinking about it as, like, a production kind of thought mentality. I was like, how would I do the Truman Show if I were to be the guy who is directing this? Like, this is nuts.
I think what they do is they have, like, a backlog of
of course. They have his whole life.
Well, yeah, but they
like,
take...
core memories.
They have, files of core things, like... This was a 5-star episode of his life.
Oh, yeah.
And so they take core moments. They take, like, core moments, and they're like, okay, he's on the beach. He has to be thinking of this. And if he's not, it doesn't matter, because this is still a good story plot.
Yeah, well, one of the bartenders is like, oh, you know, like, we have that VCR, the highlights, or whatever like that. Like, he says that there is a copy of Truman highlights. So, like, it would make sense for them to, like, always refer back to, like, key moments in his life that would shape his character and stuff like that. So
there's just a lot to unpack with this movie.
It's such a good movie. I'm trying to, like, go through the whole movie, and then we can, like, actually get into, like, good like conversation. So then he goes from, like, freaking out, like, taking his wife hostage, trying to, like, drive across a bridge, and he can't. So he makes his wife hold on to the wheel, and he just, like, guns it.
Yeah, and because he's so terrified he can't do it, but he just closes his eyes, steps on the pedal, because he
makes her drive.
He pretty much is like, we're going to Fiji.
Yep.
He's
like, we're going now.
He's like, I don't care if it's Fiji. We're just leaving.
Yep.
And because he's still, like, at this point, he knows something's up with her, but he loves her still.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's still his life.
He's not going to hurt anybody because it's a good movie. And so they go across the bridge, and then there's, like, biochemical leakage. So, oh no, right? So then, like, skip a couple parts that are semi-important, semi-not important. Watch the movie. We will then go to the scene of, like, him staying at home, taking a nap in the basement, but he's actually, like, somehow, like, Alcatrazed his way out of his own house and, like, avoided all of the cameras somehow.
Yeah.
And, like, they completely lost him. And then all of a sudden he's in a boat.
In the sea,
and that's where he's, like, most terrified. And they literally try to kill him. They literally are like, okay, this is where it ends.
Up to 10.
Yeah, they turn everything up. They're like, yep, well, this is how we end the show right here. Truman survives. Yay! Big spoilers. He gets to the edge of the dome, and he's like, if I don't see you tomorrow, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And then he dips, and then the movie's over. And you see him running away, but you never see him. I don't think you ever see him find Sylvia.
You don't, because so throughout the movie, Sylvia is his original love interest. Yeah,
it's the girl who he fell in love with,
and he's still in love with too. Like, he never really moved on.
Yeah, yep. Because he makes, like, her face out of other women's faces.
Serial killer.
Yeah,
bullshit.
it's really creepy, but it's also kind of like it's disgustingly romantic.
Yeah,
Because
that's a great way to say
we're
it.
really just seeing how someone would react if they actually never had human contact,
And
because he's never had human, like,
no
genuine human
legitimate,
contact.
yeah. And the one
Which
genuine,
would make him a total dude. What if Truman got out of the dome and just became a serial killer?
dude.
Because
Well,
he's never had.
We talked about that. Yes,
We'll talk about it later. No, we'll talk about it later.
Okay, so Sylvia, he sees her,
Yeah.
and then he tries to, like, every time he sees her and he's gonna go talk to her, she disappears, or someone gets in his way.
They send in, like, agent people, pretty much,
Yeah,
to, like, escort her out.
But they keep her on the show for his, like, high school seasons, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Quote unquote.
Because, like,
different hairstyle.
they're like, oh, she's like a conflicting love interest, but will never actually let anything happen.
Yeah.
And then
for the views, everything's content. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and then so the big scene that we refer to is he's studying for finals in a library, and
his friends try to get him to underage drink.
Yeah,
he says no.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good man.
Get on Truman. He is everyone's favorite hero.
Facts.
And so he says no. She's sitting across from him, and Truman, like the player he is, sees that bracelet and he's like, fuck this.
Yep.
And then he walks over and then he just, like, looks at her and immediately starts hitting on her and flirting with her and trying to, like, take her out. And
then that's when the whole scene is, when she gets abducted and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Like, that's what leads into it.
And then throughout the movie, he still has her sweater. So he looks at it, he tries to recreate her. And then they, like, talk about how... So the audience who watches they cut to, like, 4 groups of people specifically. 2 security guards, 2 old people, a dude in his bathtub, and people in a bar.
Dude in the bathtub is so creepy. Weird, dude.
And they're always, like, doing commentary about the show as it's live.
Yeah.
The 2 bartender waitresses are like, she's like, oh, you can take her out of the show, but you can't erase her from his memories.
Yep.
And throughout the movie, while, like, key things are happening, I would say about halfway through the movie, or, like, maybe 50 minutes later after we see that scene with her and Truman, you see her again for the first time, but it's her at home watching the Truman Show.
Yeah.
And she calls in and starts berating the director.
I forgot about that.
While the director's on the first ever live interview.
Yep. Like, she was the first caller kind of thing. Oh, I forget
and they were gonna boot her off, but the director's like,
no.
Yeah. I got this.
Yep.
I'm gonna end this lady's career. Wait a minute. I already did.
Facts.
But so she calls him disgusting, blah 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 blah. And then from that point on, she becomes one of the audience perspectives that they show here and there.
Yeah.
And which I love, that she's then seeing that, and every time Truman, like, looks at her stuff or does something that she's like supportive of, she's, like, just, like, sitting back, like like a big smile, like, go Truman.
Yes, sir.
And I cannot pronounce Natasha McCallone. That's the actress.
Yes,
she plays Lauren.
But yeah.
And so, yeah, at the end of the movie, he escapes, and we're pretty much... And once she sees him escape, or once she sees him at the edge of the dome, she starts running. Like, she sees him walk off screen.
Mm-hmm.
They show her watching him leave. She cries and gets excited and starts smiling, and then runs down into, like, a station, and then the movie ends there.
Yeah.
So... we're supposed to infer
that they somehow find each other, and that she's, like, waiting for him. Hopefully.
I wanted to see it, but as you probably know, with a theme with all the movies we watch, especially when it's, like, a romance movie, I want the afterwards, and they never give you the afterwards.
No, they do not. Most do not. They always are just like, now you decide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've gone through the whole movie. That's pretty much it. What would you out of 10, what would you say for you personally?
Out of 10, I would say it's a 9 out of 10. The only thing I would change a little bit, and I don't know, it kind of comes down to the Jim Carrey-ness we were talking about at the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, he's very serious in this role, especially because he plays a man under manic.
Yeah.
Like a manic man.
Yes.
And so, for the most part...
he plays a person with anxiety.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, once you see the thought process, like, once you see the scene where, like, everyone freezes and then, like, the bus and stuff like that, and then he, like, goes through the elevator and he does, like, the spiral, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
yep,
you really start to see that his mind starts to click with everything, and then, like, it's just, like, pretty much paranoia after that, and just, like, okay, what's real, what's not real, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is genuine?
Yeah.
And that's really what he's trying to find the whole time. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. And I would say he, for the most part, plays a very serious character. And I don't feel like he does anything too, like, slapsticky. Because that's how I would describe Jim Carrey's comedy as slapstick.
Yes. Very physical.
There is a few moments I feel like he is kind of slapsticky. And I know this movie is kind of a comedy. But I look at it as more of a serious drama with sprinkles of comedy.
Yeah.
It's a
dramedy.
I would have kind of liked if they had removed some of, like...
Yeah.
Some of that and kept it more, like, specifically his comedy. Like, some scenes when he's by himself, I'm okay that he does funny faces, because that's just, like, everyone is weird when they're by themselves in the bathroom looking at a mirror. And, like, imagine if a camera was recording you every time you were in a mirror looking at yourself.
So weird. I would hate every minute of it.
So I don't absolutely hate the fact he did some of it, but there is other moments, too, when he's talking to people.
Yeah. Where
it's like, do you really need him to be acting, like, kind of, like, so 100% Jim Carrey slapstick right now?
Yeah.
And it wasn't super often, but it was often enough that I get that's supposed to be his character is, like, lucky go happy.
Yeah.
Kind of just, like...
Well, he's lived the perfect life.
Yeah.
Like, you also have to think of that. Like, he's never had, like... Of course he had trauma, but that was fake.
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, not to him.
Yeah, well, not to him. But, like, everything, I would assume, everything has always been handed to him. He's probably had the most privileged life that you could ever possibly, like, think of, just because, like, if you really think about it, he never had to do school. Like, if he wanted to, cool, but, like, it wouldn't have mattered because they would have directed it a different way. Like, everything was always pandered, I think that's the correct word I'm thinking of. Everything was always for him, And
so I'd say that would probably be the only thing I would change a little bit.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I think outside of that, I would say the movie, even with that slight complaint, the movie I think is amazing. I'd say it's a 9 out of 10 easily.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add was I wish we would have gotten a final climax between Marlon, which is his best friend, and him, because out of everyone in the whole island, the whole city, even Truman's wife, I feel like he does not like at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think he is done with. He doesn't enjoy them.
Yeah.
Like, he knows they're off, and they don't genuinely like him.
Yeah.
Either. Like, I think they think they like him, but they don't. The only person I genuinely think that actually cares for him or has some semblance of, like, kinship with him is Marlon's character, his best friend.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one person that Truman truly trusts and doesn't, like, I feel like Truman's kind of forcing it with Meryl, his wife.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like, I think they kind of just, like, made it work, but never really, like, had that love.
Yeah, I would agree.
But I think Marlon's character, he genuinely loved.
Yeah.
I think he was genuinely best friends with. And so I would have loved to see, like, the climax,
more confrontation
of
breaking apart almost,
like, of him being like, you lied to me.
Yep.
And, like, when so the so we talked about, like, Truman has kind of like a 180 where he stops being paranoid, or at least visibly paranoid about the situation.
Yeah.
And that's after he sees his dad again. So he goes to the bridge and he's freaking out. It's after he pretty much holds his wife hostage and she says, I can't work in these conditions anymore.
Yeah.
And Marlon's like, hush, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
And like he's there and tries to like work everything down, and so she ends up divorcing Truman, but that night before like she disappears, Marlon takes him to the bridge they go to.
Yeah, and they play golf.
And they play that's where they play golf and drink beer.
Yeah.
And he's talking to him there, and Truman...
Crack open a cold one. Sorry.
And he's always showing the
always
branding.
showing the label.
And he's talking to Truman, and he's like, Truman, if this is all fake, that means I'm fake.
Yep.
And then he's like, I would never lie to you. And the part of that hurts the most is
because he's lying to him.
No, not only is he lying to him, but he's not even improving the situation. The director
is talking to him.
Is word for word feeding him lines like out of a fucking playbook.
Yeah.
And so like, and then he ends up, his dad shows up from the dead, and his like, because earlier in the movie he sees his dad because he tries to sneak back on set.
Yeah, the actor tries to sneak back in the dome. Well, he successfully sneaks into the dome.
Yeah.
But then is carried away. And that's what kind of spikes everything.
Yeah, it's what spurs all of this into motion.
Yeah.
And then after he sees his dad, he hugs him. And then he pretends to be happy again.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when he secretly starts digging a tunnel. Like, he starts sleeping down in his basement ever since his wife left.
Yeah.
Because... like,
trauma.
People do things when they're heartbroken, and that's what they chalked it up to.
Yeah.
But he was really doing it because there's a specific area that he can kind of like sneak out where the camera can't see.
Yep.
And he goes to the closet every day and digs a hole.
Yeah. He chicken runs it.
Yeah. And so I would have loved to see the two of them like not duke it out physically, but duke it out like emotionally.
Yeah,
and
verbally.
him verbally, and just him being like, "You betrayed me. You were like a brother, Anakin."
I have the high ground, Truman.
You
standing at the top of the steps. Yeah. Truman.
I do think that the switch that flips, because obviously after that scene, he knows the jig is up and he's being watched.
Yes. He finds a camera in the basement.
Yes.
Yeah.
He knows what's going on. He doesn't know like everything nook and cranny, but he knows he's being watched. He knows that everything is fake.
Yes.
And I think what makes him come to that conclusion is the fact that Marlon, his best friend on the bridge, says if everything is fake, then I have to be fake too.
Yeah.
And then he tries to convince him otherwise. And I think in his moment, that is what allowed him to completely detach, because it's like the one person he had is fake, and he just saw him pretty much reveal it to his face.
Facts.
And I just wish we would have gotten more of like an emotional reaction out of that.
Yeah.
But I guess also if you're a prisoner of a TV show, you're gonna play with the best poker face in the world, because you know you have to, or they'll be 3 steps ahead.
Facts. Dude, it's a good one.
It is.
It's a really good movie.
It is.
It's meta.
Oh, so meta.
It is a meta.
So, what would you say would you change?
What would I change about this movie? Or what
didn't you like, or what would you add?
I'll go back to kind of like from a director kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish that they would have used more of like the hidden camera aspect of it.
I wish the whole film was that way.
Yeah, because there's a lot of shots in that movie where it's like you can tell that it's like a security camera, so it's like a specific angle.
Yeah, it's like a fish island.
Yeah, and I really wish that they would have used a lot more. And I understand like through the movie's progression, it changes, because like towards the end you're not really getting any of those shots, just because it wants to convey a more like personal, like this is Truman now instead of what Truman was. But I think that's one thing that I would have changed is more. I mean, there's so many shots like that though.
There is.
But I really always enjoyed like I felt like I was the person looking in.
Yeah, I love when there's like mockumentaries or like TV show like meta movies about TV shows when they have those shots. I think that's what allows you to believe it is what it's trying to say it is.
Yeah. And I think one like writing aspect that I would want to change is that like how we said the beginning, like I love this movie. I really don't want to change anything about it.
Same.
But like
I don't have much to
yeah,
change.
I don't have much to change. But if I could rewrite some things, I would want to be in Truman's life just a little bit longer before you start to see through the cracks, just to really feel like you got to be a part of the audience. Like you get to be a part of the hive almost.
Yeah.
Like you would want to be like, oh, well, like this is such a like quote unquote like this is such a good show. I can see why people like it. And then to actually see like the agony that Truman's actually going through.
Yeah.
It's really really good. It is that's the one thing that I would change though. More of like what you were saying with like it being more of a drama instead of a comedy.
Yeah.
Just because that they casted Jim Carrey, I felt like they probably were like, oh, well, we can make this funny now.
They're like, we have to use some of his talents.
Exactly.
Even though personally, it's probably the reason why he got so fed up with show business too. Is he's not just a typecast comedian. Like he's a great comedian.
Yeah.
But he does not need to be a comedian. He can do dramatic roles so well. And I think most comedians, their comedy comes from a place of sadness. And I think that's super true about Jim Carrey as well.
Yeah.
And in that, they can do dramatic roles. Like I feel like most comedians are more than capable of doing uber dramatic roles, especially when they have like that kind of deep darkness in them, but they're not allowed to do it.
Yeah. So there's this movie, it's a documentary, but there's this movie called Jim and Andy the Great Beyond, and you need to watch it.
Okay.
It's a movie about Jim Carrey playing a human, like he's doing like a reenactment of like someone's life, right? And his name is Andy Kaufman.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like the documentary, dude. This is why he got out of show business, pretty much.
Really?
Yes.
Was this movie that bad?
He like turned into a completely different person. Like he you know the definition of like what's the word?
Like
it's
method acting?
Method acting.
He got too into it.
He became Andy Kaufman.
Really?
Like he completely embodied another human's life. And like it's a really good documentary. And I think that's a lot of reasons why people say like at one point like Jim Carrey kind of like lost his mind. I've never thought that. I just think that people deal with things and we all express things differently, and mental health is very very important, and we all do things differently.
I also think Jim Carrey went like the majority of his life, like early adulthood to the rest of his life, being a megastar. Who was forced to always be funny, who was forced in the
movie,
and he was forced to be something.
Yeah.
So like, I think a lot of his life felt fake, and so I think that's what, if he did have like, I'm not saying like he broke, but what caused him to have so much mental health where he had to step back, was the lifestyle he lived, like being a famous person. Forced into a caricature of himself all the time. Especially because Hollywood doesn't want you to be you. They want you to be what they can
they want
sell.
you to be what they can present. We should, I think next week we should do the Jim and Andy.
I'm down.
Dude, it's a really good documentary, and it falls into this type of realm of like it's really really weird, because I would say that like the Truman Show, watching the Truman Show and watching Jim and Andy is almost like watching the same thing.
Really? It's just
Oddly
at different
enough.
points in his career.
No, No. So it's
Well, no, I mean Jim and Andy came out in 2017.
no,
so
the
it's-
documentary came out in 2017.
Yeah.
The movie didn't come out. The movie, I think it's called To the Moon.
Oh, is this a movie
Yes.
he's in?
Yes. Yes. Jim. Man on the Moon. That's what it's called. Sorry. So Man on the Moon came out in 1999 and is rated R. And it's about a man named Andy Kaufman. And Andy Kaufman is a comedian. He's like a stand-up comedian. He's really controversial, like gotten like quote unquote fights with people and like really controversial kind of shit. And so
so you're saying this movie broke him?
Yes, this movie changed Jim Carrey.
And this happened early in his career too.
This movie changed him a lot.
Because he was in show business for a while after this movie.
Oh yeah. He talks about how this movie affected him and how all of the roles that he has ever played have always lined up with his life, and that it's just really weird.
And so
it's really cool. It's really insightful into seeing someone's.
And that's why it's called
really cool.
Jim and Andy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a documentary about a movie he has done.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool. It's really cool. And excuse us, audience, for slightly getting off topic, but I've never seen this movie, Man on the Moon. Maybe we could do like a two-parter.
Part 1 is Man on the Moon. Part 2 is the documentary.
Or we could just watch both of them and then at the same time talk about it. Or we could do two-parter. I'm down for either which one, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey is one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite actors. He's one of my favorite right next to Robin Williams.
Yeah. Knowing what Jim Carrey says now about his life and about Hollywood and the stuff he says, I'm shocked that, not shocked that he did this movie. I bet you that the Truman Show
didn't help anything.
I think the Truman Show built, because it's 98 when he did the Truman Show.
Yeah, so they filmed it through 96 and 97 probably.
And then so he did these back to back. He did the Man on the Moon and this. And so I bet you, dude, that these two movies together probably fucked up his mind about like perspective of himself and reality and how people looked at him. And so I'm like surprised that, especially because the way he feels is probably the way he's felt for a while. You just didn't know how to articulate it.
Yeah.
And now that he does, or he's not afraid to articulate it, I'm kind of surprised that he did the movie. Or I guess I'm trying to say, like, not surprised he feels the way he does because of this like.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying.
I could see this movie largely influencing it, and I bet you if you asked Jim Carrey today, want to do Truman Show Part 2, he'd be like, fuck you, no.
I don't know. I think he might, depending on what it's about and how it's presented to him.
Which, by the way,
we have a great idea.
Jim Carrey, we know how to do a good sequel that wouldn't feel like a cash grab.
No, it wouldn't. You just turn into another great action star.
Yeah, well, and it would be like a drama comedy.
It'd be the same fucking movie.
It would. And it works that it took so long to do it because we need you as an old man.
Yep.
It would only work because it's late. So
hit him with it.
Okay. So what it is now Truman lives in the real world.
Normal life.
He's obviously the biggest celebrity in the world.
Yep.
But he started to the older he got, the more he fell more into obscurity. People still knew of him. People still knew him. And he'd get recognized. But he wasn't like the man anymore. And that's because Christoph, the director of the Truman Show, uses what money he had left over to restart his project again, or find like his protege or his son, whoever. Yeah. Restarts the project. And there's a new Truman, but it's not Truman anymore.
Yeah. It's just the dome is back. And there's a new Truman.
Yes. There's a new host. And the name of the movie could just be like Blank Show. Yeah. The new person's name show. Yeah. And so there's a new Truman who is now who from baby on is now the star of this show, and everyone watches him and everyone's obsessed with him again.
Yep.
And the same phenom happened again.
And then Truman does what his dad did.
Yeah, but
breaks into the dome.
Yeah, but Truman, being the only person in real life who truly understands the isolation of this person.
Yep.
We get to see the main character, who is the new Truman.
Yep.
Their perspective of them going through this world, and then them slowly kind of noticing some oddities, and then we get to see Truman seeing it, and his wife, not Cheryl, but what's her name? The chick he escaped to see. What's her name? Lauren. That's his wife. Yeah, Lauren died. Nah,
she's still alive.
Or something.
Wait, are you asking literally?
No, I'm saying she would have died in the part 2.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Because now he has nothing. He's living for himself. He has no one he's no longer attached to at this point.
Oh, okay. I get you. I like it.
And so he then goes on an operative mission to sneak into the dome. And so we can add a little spice to it if we want. And then he
becomes the new John Wick.
And he tries to show the reality.
Yep.
To this new person.
Yep.
That's our pitch.
Yep, that's our pitch. If we see a movie that comes out
that does exactly what we just said,
I claim intellectual rights.
Mm-hmm.
We right now claim intellectual rights, and I'll sue.
I will tweet this video at you.
I will sue.
Court of public opinion.
Well, intellectual rights in general.
Yeah, we'll sue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here first.
We're not afraid.
Okay, well, would you say that this movie is notable?
Yeah, definitely.
Very notable.
Especially, so something we haven't talked about on the podcast, but something you and I have talked about in person.
I like this.
Is
personal questions. Let's get it.
Something this movie made me think of, because watching this movie back in 1998, I bet it was such a surreal, groundbreaking idea. But watching this movie as the first time as an adult now in social media.
Watching this movie as a Zoomer and our lives being completely enveloped by social media is kind of surreal because we all live in a Truman Show.
Yeah, dude. It was that's it. That is it. It was super surreal because now you have people who grow up.
Truman Show themselves.
Yeah, on purpose.
For views, for money.
Yeah, dude. It's like they're self-aware of it. Like they grow up their whole life on social media, posting pictures of themselves, making content on YouTube, being a social media creator, and Truman showing themselves. And also, it's worse than Truman Show because at least in that aspect, he didn't know, so he thought he was living a normal life. So he's mentally stable-ish.
Yeah.
What we do to ourselves is worse because Truman's self-character and his self-image is not affected what other people think of him because he doesn't know other people are looking at him.
Yeah, he doesn't.
When you Truman Show yourself on purpose,
you know what everybody's thinking.
Your self-worth is now attached to the product.
Else. Yes.
And the product is you. You can't be like a baker. And I heard this analogy to what creators are now. It's a channel. It's the channel I send you all the time. I'll link it in the bio. It's something and Samir. Colin and Samir. It's a YouTube channel for creators by creators.
Yes.
And so they talk about it. The reason that being a YouTuber and a creator in general is such a unique job is because you are the process to make the product, to edit the product, release the product, and are the product.
You are the engine that runs.
Yeah, like if you worked at a bakery, but you were just the clerk.
Yeah. Oh,
just the clerk.
Okay.
If someone says they hate the bread, you're like, I'm sorry, dude, that sucks.
Yeah, I can't
you're not hurt because you're not the baker.
Exactly.
If you were the baker, then you would be like, oh,
put on your mitts.
Yeah, like we're gonna throw down. Yeah. Now imagine if you were the clerk, the baker, the bakery shop, and the bread.
Get bread. Sorry,
and you are everything.
Yeah.
So your intrinsic value
is based on what is released.
Yeah, because you are the product, and so when people don't like it, it affects you negatively.
Yep.
And so people are putting themselves in an opportunity to be affected that way.
Yep.
And watching the Truman Show like just
people put themselves in boxes for fun.
Dude, and so like watching a movie about someone's life being fabricated and then watching a whole generation fabricate their life is kind of insane.
Yeah.
And surreal. And it's ironic that we're talking about it because we are putting up a product on social media. I think ours is a little different.
Meta.
Yeah, it's super meta. I think
meta.
I feel like ours is a little different because we're breaking down other people's product, but
Doesn't
it's still
matter.
the same thing. It's still the same
we're
thing.
We're just being a baker. We're just being a baker, baking bread, selling bread.
And our bread is us.
And I'm not getting paid for it.
Yeah. Despite us breaking down social media every other episode,
it's important.
We feed into it too.
It's important though. Sorry for punching my hand so hard. It's important. I have really been trying to get rid of that. And I know that I'm feeding into it and we're posting things and like, counterintuitive for other people's lives.
But I think you can healthfully feed into it too. Like, I think there's a way to still, because social media in itself isn't evil.
No,
it's just
it's the way that you use it in your life.
Yes, and I also think our generation is gonna make it so much healthier for future generations. Possibly, we could make it worse.
We won't get into that now.
But if
that's a whole podcast.
But yeah,
I'm a nihilistic.
Listen to the social media of madness episode, and you'll kind of get my whole perspective on how we can fix this. But we'll talk about that later.
I'm a nihilist when it comes to humanity. We're just here to shit in
here
to shit in our own food bowls, dude.
I'm just saying, our parents didn't know how to healthfully raise people with social media because they didn't know what it was going to be. Even the people making social media didn't know what it was going to be. We now understand how much it can fuck with you, so we'll help our children.
But we're not going to know what fucks with them because we're just going to be old people and they're going to be new. It's the cycle of
But it will be a little bit better.
No.
Okay, we're getting way off topic, so
no,
we'll just
this is Truman Show. This is the Truman Show. This is what it's about, dude. Like, it's
dude, this movie could not be more on like topic 20 years later that I don't think anyone expected this movie to still be so relevant.
Up.
It's so relevant.
It holds up time and time again just because it's all about like how much media is in your life. And I'm an advocate, and even though I spend still, like I said, I'm not tooting a horn because there's no horn to toot. I'm trying to get rid of it slowly and make it more healthy for my life because
let me put it this way. Are you trying to get rid of it or are you trying to control your consumption of it so it's like super limited?
I'm not trying to be a glutton.
Okay.
I'm not trying to live through my phone vicariously through other people like at all. I want to be able to find happiness and find wholeness.
You're trying to find a healthy balance with it.
No. Yes, but my goal is to just be happy with me.
Oh, yes.
I want to be happy without my phone. I want to be able to one day, this will never happen because humanity is dependent on phones and technology, so I'm never going to do this. I would love to just throw my phone in a compactor and not have to do anything ever again.
I think
in the sense of being able to be happy with myself without having to depend on somebody else. And that's just in general.
Well, I think, and I would 100% support that. And that's something I've been trying to work for too as well. I think my goal, at least the way I look at it, is I don't want to get rid of my phone. I just want to be able to go. My goal is, so, some Zoomers will relate to this. When you're in a room and you're bored or you're socially uncomfortable, what is your go-to safety coping mechanism? Pull up your phone and start scrolling through apps because if you're looking at your screen, you don't have to interact with the people around you.
Facts.
I want to be at the point where I don't feel the need
to pick up your phone
or want to do that, and my phone is just a tool.
When was the last time you sat in a room with other people and just like let there be silence and not pull out your phone?
I don't remember. I try, when I'm hanging out one-on-one with people, I've really worked on not checking my phone because I used to check my phone all the time and not actually give people my attention. And people have done that to me too. And it feels crummy. So if I'm hanging out one-on-one with someone, I'm never on my phone, but if I'm in a group, in a group, I don't care if I'm on my phone a little bit, just because you two entertain yourself. I'm gonna entertain myself a little bit. Then we'll take turns.
Vibe. Yeah. I feel so.
But I get what you mean. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Exactly. I can answer this question. So 2 weeks ago, I had an appointment, right? And instead of sitting in the waiting room and scrolling through my phone, because social media gives me anxiety, because I feel like I'm not worth it because other people are living better than me, so it's just really, really hard.
But you're just seeing the highlights of their life.
Exactly. Or just in general, like I'm seeing something that I could have. I'm seeing something that is better. I'm seeing something that's better than my life. No matter what it is. I don't have a cat. I want a cat. I see cats all the time. I don't own a cat. I want a cat. Ha! Excuse me, that was a whole other tangent. But like I decided,
get this man a cat.
I decided to sit in the waiting room patiently with no phone until I was called in. 20 minutes. Yeah, I checked my phone every now and then because not knowing time in and of itself
that bothers me.
Stresses me out. So like I need to know time, but I sat there and there was a TV on, so of course I watched TV because I'm not just going to sit there blankly stare and look like I'm, I should be okay with that. Yeah. Like, I should be okay with just chilling out, breathing, taking in life. But instead, that brings anxiety because I have been manufactured through my phone.
We unintentionally place slots on our phone all the time.
Oh, I know.
Because refreshing Instagram is just hitting spin again on a slot machine.
It's just another gamble.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I now understand why I love slot machines so much. Because
another gamble.
I'm made for a slot machine, baby.
Yeah. Zoomers are made for gambling. We are made to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah. And I'd have a gambling problem.
Truman Show encapsulates in my opinion.
Good. Bring back there, by the way.
Thank you. I'm about it. That's why I do this. Truman Show encapsulates I feel like the detachment from the things that the detachment from true reality. Nah, that's too deep. I need to be grounded in things. So no, that's too meta, Daniel. You take that somewhere else. No, what I'm saying is that I would boil it down to everything that you see him go through in the movie, whether that be relationships or his job or him trying to find his lost long love kind of thing. It really just boils down to being able to take yourself out of the situation and still be happy with it, because his whole life was a complete lie and he never knew, and then all of a sudden it was fuck, right? And he allowed himself, he told himself, I need to get out of this.
Yeah.
And he did. And he changed his life.
He conquered his biggest fear, and it was so great.
And he did it just because it needed to be done.
I think one of the best scenes in the movie is at the end when he's on the boat and they start hitting him with mild waves. So they're like, hit him with mild waves.
Is that all you got?
He'll be scared. He'll head back. And nothing happens. And then the directors capsize him.
Yep. You're gonna have to kill me.
And so what they do is they have enough waves and storms to knock him off his boat, and he nearly drowns, but he swims back to the boat.
Man's probably never swam in his life.
Imagine, or at least not since he was 12. Yeah. So
he's never swam. He is not a power swimmer. No. Man's not Michael Phelps.
No, Michael Phelps through a storm.
Yeah.
Just the willpower of he's in his greatest fear now. Drowning.
Yes.
That's his to break it down. Drowning in a storm is his greatest fear, and he
power is swimming. In it. Yes.
He gets back on the boat, he ties himself down, and fucking Ray Lewis pulls Jersey open, screams to the sky.
The magic car. Sorry.
Screams to the sky. Is that all you got?
Yes,
Just saying, hit me again. And then they turn on the storm to max. Kill me levels of storms.
Yeah, people die and that kind of shit.
And
or they ride massive cool waves.
And the
Sorry, go
dude
ahead.
gets like 3 concussions.
Oh,
And
100%.
because he's tied down to the boat, he doesn't fall off, but his head smacks against the boat repeatedly, and you see the scrapes and cuts and bruises on him. And like he barely lifts himself up afterwards. But then after they do it and he's not dead, they're like, just I guess there's whatever.
And then he finds stairs.
It's just
cool quote. He finds stairways to heaven. But no, he finds the stairs, and then he says his cool catchphrase: "Good afternoon, good evening, and good night." And then he fucking dips.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's a great way to end it.
It's such a good movie.
And I love the fact that he, in the end of the movie, really shows his willpower to want something.
To want to change.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
he wants the change so desperately that he would rather die than see change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Or, yes, English. Got him.
So, we mentioned it slightly earlier, and you said we'll talk about it later. Truman entering the real world and being a serial killer.
Okay, yeah, so... I would definitely say that he would end up in a mental institution. Yeah. He would end up in a white padded room.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Like so we started to watch the movie last night. I say started.
This man fell asleep.
I was tired,
like a bit.
But so we got like 40 minutes in, and while we're watching it, I made a comment. I'm like, dude, this guy gets to real life, and I would not be surprised if he's a serial killer, or like goes on a murder spree. Because I had honestly kind of justified it.
No, you said to murder the town, not to get into real life.
No, I said like in real life. I was thinking that. That's what I.
Oh, like when he gets into real life,
yes.
You go on a murder spree. Oh, I was thinking what you were saying is like the minute that it snapped in the dome.
Oh no,
he'd kill everyone in the dome.
I was saying the moment he gets outside, realizes it's real life, he might kill people who were in the dome.
Oh yeah, no, I still don't think so. No.
But I would justify.
I'm not an advocate for murder, Daniel.
Neither am I. I'm just saying. I'm looking at it this way.
Oddly shifts in chair. Fuck no. Let me rephrase this.
If there's never a reason to murder anyone, but out of the reasons people have murdered people for.
Well, okay, there's some stupid shit for stupid people that have killed people for less.
Yes, I'm just saying, having your whole life manufactured, nothing being genuine, nothing being real, and having the biggest prank of the world pulled over you, and literally not even having real parents.
I think, yes, someone would snap to kill someone.
I think it's justified if the man wants to commit a
justified.
couple. I can understand. Okay, it's not justified because no one should ever be killed, but I can understand him.
I'll agree with you. It's just not justified.
I can understand him.
Yeah.
Wanting to murder someone.
Oh yeah, no,
like
I
can fully understand, and slightly, I don't blame him. I don't. Let me put it that way. I'm not trying to say I'm justifying his murder.
Yes.
But I would not, as a bystander, be like, I don't blame you for wanting to murder a couple hoes. I don't blame you for wanting to murder a couple people. And I mean hoes as people. I don't mean actual prostitutes.
No, he means the gardening tool.
Yes.
I would not. Cat in the Hat.
I would not blame him for wanting to murk some people. I would not. I would be like, nah, dude, you like. If anyone in society was surprised that he would go on a murder spree eventually throughout his life after figuring out the truth, then they just didn't watch the show. Like, they don't understand what they did to this man.
So Daniel's been desensitized
to murder,
for violence through video games and violent TV shows. Society shows that video games are bad.
Is this you saying I'm a risk to my surroundings and I need to be thrown in a...
In there.
Is this
intervention?
Your PSA, my intervention?
This is it, Daniel. I'm actually I'm actually Truman showing you right now.
You make one joke. You make one joke about a fictional character going on a fictional murder spree.
I mean, you are justifying it pretty hard, even if
you say you're not. I am.
No.
Sorry, that peaked really hard.
No, I know you did.
You're
a loud person. It's okay.
I am justifying it, dude.
Yeah.
Because, like, as much as murder is evil and it's vile and no one deserves to be killed,
See, now it sounds weird when you say it, huh?
I would understand someone's perspective and reasoning considering the astronomical things he was put in. I just made up a word, yeah. Like,
yeah, you did.
his life, he was bubbled. He was bubbled.
Yes, he was sheltered.
To the sheltered is downplaying what he went through. The man, like,
grew up in a dome.
Dude, grew up in a literal manufactured life.
Mm-hmm.
And not even had real parents.
Mm-hmm.
His parents saw him. They just,
it's deep.
It is so fucked up on so many levels. And it's so terrible that someone, like, if we were looking at, like, the documentary of Truman, the serial killer, the man who killed the most people in history, and you're like, what made his brain break? What caused him to do this? Let's understand the mind of a serial killer.
They have those.
I know they do. That's why I'm going at it from this perspective.
Okay.
That's why I'm doing this, because there's podcasts for this.
Okay.
You go into the mind of the serial killer, the documentary. I would see that documentary and be like, yeah, that all checks. This totally makes sense why he did what he did. Doesn't mean what he did is right. Doesn't mean he should have done it, but it would make sense.
I'll agree just because, sure. But I could just say, hey, do you agree that Ted Bundy killed 1 million women? Is it justified?
It's not justified.
Do you agree that because his mother neglected him and raised him horribly, that it's okay?
No.
Or you can understand why he killed women that looked like his mother?
No. I mean, like, do I conceptually understand what he was thinking? Yes, but also, I'm going to be honest, what Ted Bundy went through and what this man went through, completely different levels.
Yes, I know that the fish gets bigger, but it's still the same outcome of murking hoes, bro.
I see what you're saying.
Murder bad.
Murder is bad.
Murder
bad. I totally get it. I'm just saying.
I can understand the devil's advocate of the thought process of wanting to see an action movie of Truman.
I don't want to
say hello to my little friend. But
I don't want that. I don't want him to become a murderer. I believe that he would be a good person, but my brain thought about it. My brain can't stop thinking about it now. And I'm just saying, all murderers go through traumatic things, and it does not justify.
This has been a 7-minute rant about you trying to justify murder.
Okay, I'll wrap it up.
I know you're not justifying
it. I'm
just making joke, but like...
I'll wrap it up. Does not justify anything.
No.
I'm just saying.
I can understand.
If there were any justification, this is the closest thing to it.
I'll accept it. I still disagree, but I can understand the point. I get it.
Okay,
it's
now I'll shut up.
Just
nah.
No.
Leave a comment. Why don't you put your comments below and let me know what you think
about the movie?
Yes. And the
the movie. The movie. Let's wholesome.
Let's not get banned from YouTube 3 months into the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was this week's podcast. We really got off topic on this one for the last little couple minutes, but you know what? It's okay. Daniel's like, fuck.
I don't regret anything.
Good, you shouldn't. I'm about it.
It's about the character. It's about the movie.
It is.
This thought experiment only happened because of the life he lived.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
It's such a weird... I never thought of like, oh, this man would just walk out and murk people. like run out the doors like, Sylvia, where are you? Like... You know.
He becomes the Joker.
Oh, yeah, dude. He's just like,
why so serious?
Dude. Have you seen The Shining?
No.
You need to watch it.
Okay.
We'll watch it. We'll watch it November, or October, November. Spooky-thon.
Spookathon?
Yeah. We'll try and keep things slightly seasonal, but, you know. That's a different topic.
For a different day.
Yes, sir. So we will be next thing reviewing Moon Knight. Should be coming out
Oh yes.
Friday night ish.
Yes. We'll be the show comes out on Wednesday. We will be airing our episode on Friday, and this will be
little mini series.
Yeah.
It'll go on for as long as the show, and then if things keep going, things are cool. Maybe we'll do the next Marvel show
or the next Star Wars show.
Oh, Kenobi.
Yeah, I personally would.
Let's do Kenobi. Let's do Kenobi. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Oh.
If you like, please like and subscribe because that'd be sick. Daniel, what are our social media things?
You can find us on Twitter at A Noted Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Instagram, and on YouTube at The Noted Podcast.
Either.
And please like and subscribe and comment, follow, share.
Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Comment.
And
cool.
share. Please share. Please share us with your friends.
Yes.
I mean, I
even if you don't like us.
I appreciate you watching it if you are. Thank you. And,
number one fan.
Yeah, and so no, my auntie is our number one fan.
Yes,
100%.
sir.
Love you, auntie. And so I mean, at this point, like we mentioned, we'll be doing Moon Nights on Fridays. The normal podcast will still release on Wednesdays.
Yep.
That's not changing.
Nope.
We're gonna. I think we talked about wanting to do reviewing TV shows, and it's a little harder with the format that we were doing right now. So I think the Friday shows are gonna be about TV shows.
Yeah.
And these Wednesday shows will continue to be your normal scheduled podcast about some movies.
And every so now and then, when we forget to watch movies, we'll just crack hour.
Yeah, do a normal.
Crack hour.
We'll do a mustard episode.
Stories. Yeah, we call them crack hour, but.
Yeah, we call them that. I don't think we've ever like fully explained that. And
okay. No, I'm doing it right now. Okay, so a long time ago, back a couple months ago. This is gonna be a quick story. Daniel and I, when we started this,
with Good Will Hunting,
we just right after that podcast, we were like, let's do another podcast, and for some reason, we were just hyped. Like, we were just, like, energetic as hell.
And it was, like, my level of energy was, like, sleepy energy, where it's, like, you're so tired, you're delirious.
You're delusional. Just like, oh, what's happening? Oh, my God. So, we recorded one, and it was just absolute chaos. And
unfortunately, the audio itself was bad, so we couldn't release it.
Yeah. But the Mustard, the last episode that we uploaded, the Mustard Casino one, where it's just kind of like us hanging out, stories about what's been going on in our lives, like those are our quote unquote crack hour episodes, where it's just us talking about life and catching up. And I say catching up as in like catch up, and then Daniel's like, mustard, and then we get into an argument, and then we post it.
Yep,
that's us.
Quality content.
Yep, that's us. Okay, well, that has been noted.
Noted.